Now, I left you yesterday at this part. Here only I seen the share. Now, today my topic is tolerance of tolerance and management of fractions. You know, there were some positive and good points of Congress earlier. Right, earlier they used to be tolerant. They used to be tolerant, and they used to be patient. They used to be patient when criticism was there. So let's see tolerance and management of fraction. What do you mean by fraction? Fraction means when somebody is in the party, but in some of the views he is not able to cooperate. कुछ ऐसे व्यूज होते हैं जिससे वो कोऑपरेट कर नहीं पा रहा है वो बट प्रैक्टिकली ही इज इन पार्ट राइट दैट इज कॉल्ड फ्रैक्शन कुछ लोग कुछ बातों पे पार्टी से सहमत नहीं होते so that particular person is called fraction or fractions. This coalition-like character of the Congress gave it unusual strength. Coalition means लोगों के दूसरे पार्टी के साथ को भी मिक्सअप कर लेना दूसरी पार्टी को अपने साथ मिक्सअप करना कोalition पार्टी कई और जो पार्टीज हैं उनके साथ मिक्सअप हो जाना राइट it was an unusual strength of Congress. One, underline कीजिए. Firstly, it could be a question for you, बच्चों. The coalition-like character of the Congress gave it unusual strength. Discuss this topic. Discuss this topic. It could be a question. It could be a question for you in the final examination for 4 marks or 3 marks. Right. So I discussed that. Firstly, क्या कारण थे? A coalition accommodate all those who join it. Coalition पार्टी क्या करती है? दूसरी पार्टी को भी एक्सेप्ट कर लेती है उनको भी ज्वाइन करने की कोशिश वो जो दूसरी पार्टी उनको ज्वाइन करने की कोशिश करती है they don't create any hurdle for them. They always accept it. Right. Therefore, it has to avoid any extreme position and strike balance on almost all issues. तो इससे क्या होता है कि दूसरे इश्यूज जो उसके कंट्रोवर्सी इश्यूज होते हैं उनके साथ ये मिल के चलता है बेसिकली there's some big party controversial issues has to be there when some because lots of people are there the member of the party so in that party the people are members so there could be fractions हो सकता है कि बहुत सारी बातों पे वो एक्सेप्ट ना करें so they used to be tolerant the Congress used to be tolerant and used to strike the balance. The Congress party was always in balanced position. So this was their plus point in all issues. Then compromise and inclusiveness. And what is the meaning of inclusiveness? When a quality of a person which who can deal with many controversies. Suppose आपने कई प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करने की शख्सियत है यू कैन सॉल्व मेनी प्रॉब्लम्स so you will say that he is a personality or she is a personality of inclusiveness when you are able to solve many problems as a one person but you are indulged in many problems and you can solve those problems you are being inclusive so it's a plus point inclusiveness and compromise. Inclusiveness and compromise, it was the nature of Congress. So it was a second point. It's written over here. They are was the hallmarks of coalition. Hallmarks. ये इनके लिए hallmarks थे ये बहुत बड़ी इनकी these were these 2 points. Inclusiveness and strike the balance. Right. They were and compromise. They used to be the mega point of Congress. Mega point of Congress. Congress के लिए बहुत positive point हुआ करते. This strategy put the opposition in a difficult. जो strategy थी ना कौन सी strategy? दूसरों को साथ लेके चलने की strategy. Congress party used to always welcome the other party members to join them. They used to, accommodate him. The Congress party was inclusiveness. Congress party was coalition party of many other people. Right? Congress party was tolerant. Tolerance. It was having a tolerant atmosphere. So what is the meaning of this? The Congress party was doing mammoth job, tremendous job. So and this strategy, what strategy? These are all which I told gave you the points. Put the opposition in a difficulty. तो दूसरे opposition party जो थी कांग्रेस की तो difficulties में आ जाती थी क्योंकि उनके पास कांग्रेस के लिए माइनस पॉइंट कोई नहीं होता. There were no minus point for the Congress. Anything that opposition wanted to say would also find a place in the program and ideology of the Congress. Congress की ideology क्या थी कि basically if something is good which is accepted by the Congress party is to accept it, maybe the suggestion was given by some opposition party. मतलब कांग्रेस पार्टी को कोई पॉइंट अच्छा लगता to accept it. Maybe that particular point was given by the opposition. उसको ये डर नहीं होता था कि opposition क्या कहे. Because opposition was always in problem whenever it criticized the Congress. I'm not saying now these days. I am saying for the early days. पहले पहले की बात बता रहा हूँ, not now. Second point क्या था? In a party that has a nature of coalition, there is a greater tolerance of internal differences. When the party is big, for example, suppose your family is big family. Earlier now it's a 3 or 4 members of a family. Earlier they were joint families. In joint families, you said that there were 10 or 15 members were there. They used to live jointly. Right? There could be some differences, but their differences was used to be, sorted out with amicable nature. Amicable nature का मतलब हुआ कि basically उनके differences को अच्छे nature के द्वारा, सहानुभूति के द्वारा solve कर लिया जाता था if there is some difference, if there are some differences. So, and there is a one very great positive point in Congress was that Congress party was very much tolerant party. There was a lot of tolerance of internal differences and ambitions of various groups, and leaders are accommodated. Yes, this one point is very important. Leaders were very much accommodated. Leaders जो थे वो accommodate करते थे किसको दूसरे लोगों को. Leader was having an accommodative nature. The Congress did both these things during the freedom struggle and continued this even in after the struggle. And this behavior of Congress, tolerance, accommodative nature, no to and acceptance of opposition parties, criticism, these few points that was earlier during the freedom struggle also. Yes, why the people were very much proud that they used to say that they are the part and parcel, they're a member of the Congress party. Why they were so feeling? Because Congress party was one of the dominant party. It was having a dominance throughout the country, not in the country itself. It was the Congress party was known in abroad also. Lots of leaders were very applauded. They were very much applauded in abroad also, right? So Congress party was dominant party, and during the freedom struggle, they accepted this point to that the one should be tolerant, the party should be tolerant, right? And they should accept the criticism. They should accept the plus points of the opposition party so that they can make their own party very strong. During the freedom struggle and continue doing this after the independence. Or that's the point. These points were not before the or during the independence, but after the independence also. Congress party continued this. Congress party continued this philosophy that they will accommodate everyone, they will accept the criticism criticism also, and they will be tolerant. They will be tolerant, right? So these two things were very much good over there. That's why even if a group was not happy with the position of the party or with share of power, it would remain inside the party. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? Suppose somebody was not happy within the party of the party management, maybe A, B, C, D, he was not happy because उसको उतना power नहीं दिया गया. He was not having so much power as other people are having. But he used to be remain in the party. वो पार्टी से चले नहीं जाते थे, पार्टी को डिफेक्ट नहीं करते थे, डिफेक्ट क्यों नहीं होते थे पार्टी. आजकल today what that if you are not listening to the party member, the party member used to leave the party and join the other party. It happens during the Trinamool Congress also, and during this Bengal election, that lot of TMC, the Trinamool Congress party, they joined Bharatiya Janata Party, right? In which Shubhendra Adhikari was also there. He defeated Mamta Banerjee in the recent election. So they used to be in the same party. It would remain inside the party and fight the other group rather than leaving the party and becoming an opposition. Listen to me and underline it. It would remain, it would remain inside the party and fight the other group rather than rather than leaving the party and becoming an opposition. वो क्या करता था? पार्टी में रहकर ही पार्टी के लिए लड़ता था. Maybe differences are there, but he was not intended to leave the party and be opposition. No, it was not like this. So these points were very much positive points of Congress. That is the reason Congress was the only party in having the dominant party. Good for the many decades. Right? With the many decades. These groups inside the party are called factions. Look, here it is. Here. These groups, which groups? Those groups who are not very much satisfied with the ideology of the Congress, with the principle of the Congress. But they were not leaving them. They used to fight opposition. They used to fight the opposition. Right? The coalition nature of the Congress party tolerated, in fact, encouraged various factions. Right? They encouraged many factions, but they were tolerated. Some of these factions were based on ideological considerations. I told you, factions जो उनसे थोड़ा सा अलग हट के चलते हैं, but they are remaining in the past. What? Why they were factions? Because the ideology was different. They were not able to accept the ideology, all the total ideology of Congress total. Means टोटो का मतलब जैसे उन्होंने कांग्रेस ने कहा है उसी आइडियोलॉजी को लेके चलना उनके बस की बात नहीं. So there were factions inside it. But very often these factions were rooted in personal ambitions and rivalry. But these factions were sometimes very much personal. Why someone is having lots of power, another one is not having any power. Why the people used to listen to him, they are not, the party is not listening to him. So these rivalries become personal. Instead of being a weakness, internal fractionalism became strength of the Congress. ये जो weakness था ना, internal party weaknesses, they were not coming up as a weakness. They were coming up as a strength, because when you know that where is your weak point and you try to manage that weak point into a strong point, positive point, it always helps your personality to grow. It will always help you to grow. Suppose आपने एक weak point ये कि suppose आपको okay आपको you don't want to study art. but suddenly you change your study hard. You don't want to study hard, but you said that okay, I'm very much good in games or something else, and I want to be strong in that particular point. So you can be, but side by side, you cannot leave the studies. You think why you don't like the studies, and it could be possible that weak point become a strong point. Same with it. Now, most of the state units of the Congress, sorry, since there was here I left you, yeah, most of the state units of the Congress were made up of numerous factions, right? And the factions took different ideological positions, making the Congress appear as a grand centrist party. Factions of it, they make the Congress as a very strong party, centrist party. The center में काम कर रही है. Obviously, all other state parties, except the center, if the center party is there, and that particular party will be the very strong, because other parties are just behave like a children party, and the center party is the mother party. So mother is very strong than the children. The, the other parties primarily attempted to influence these factions and therefore indirectly influence policy decision making from the marginal. They were far removed from the actual exercise of authority. They were not alternative to the real ruling party. Instead, they constantly pressurized and criticized, censured, and influenced the Congress. Some small parties, they were not having very much reputed parties. They don't have so much power to show the Congress that they are powerful, but there the differences between factions and other people in the Congress, they make the Congress very strong. Because कांग्रेस के पास एक होमवर्क मिल गया था कि इतने सारे लोग उसके अगेंस्ट क्यों थे. So they went inside their own principles, अपने सिद्धांतों के अंदर गए, and they had a look. उन्होंने देखा कि कहीं सेंचुरी में सिद्धांत तो गलत नहीं है. The सिद्धांत that ism are Congress should not follow the wrong ism. So what when they visualize their work, they thought that they should work on it. That why so much factionalism is there? Why so much resentment is there in other people? So this makes them very strong. Okay. Now this was there. The system of factions functions as a balancing mechanism. ये सिस्टम ने क्या किया? कांग्रेस को बैलेंस कर दिया. It was a balanced party. Political competition therefore took place within the Congress. In that sense, the first decade of electoral competition, the Congress acted both as ruling party as opposition. That is why the period of Indian politics has been described as the Congress. तो ये जो पूरा का सिस्टम मैंने आपको समझाया कांग्रेस पार्टी के बारे में, I detailed you very everything. So this system was called Congress system. जो मैंने बताया ना, tolerance and acceptance of the criticism, then factionalism, then make their weak point as a strong point, discussion and a collaboration with the other parties, collaboration with the opposition. These all points make Congress party very strong, very strong. And this party, this system, what which Congress was working, it is called Congress system. So your question is, what do you know about Congress system? What do you know about Congress system? And next question could be, How tolerance and management of factions make Congress very strong. How tolerance and management of factions, right, make Congress very strong. Discuss. This was page number 38, tolerance के ऊपर जाइए, and page number 39, sorry 40, second paragraph के ऊपर जाइए. You will get the answer. Now, still some minutes are there. Then I want to go with you with the Bharatiya Janata Party. Yeah. Earlier I said this now Bharatiya Janata Party. Earlier it was Bharatiya Janata Sangh. Right. Bharatiya Janata Sangh. Now logo change. It's the Kamal ka Phool now. Lotus. So Bharatiya Janata Sangh was formed in 1951 with Shama Prasad Mukherjee as its founder president. Its image, however, can be traced back to the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh (RSS). Is still in existence. This party still is in existence, right? And the Hindu Mahasabha before independence. Earlier, it was having roots with Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh (RSS) and Hindu Mahasabha. The Janasangh was different from other parties. The Janasangh was different from other parties in terms of ideology and progress. Janasangh was different within its ideology. Obviously, it's a big party. It has to be a different ideology, their own ideology. And another one was coalited party was Bharatiya Janasangh. Right, one is Janasangh and another was RSS. It emphasized the idea of one country, one culture, and one nation. One country, one culture, and one nation. Recently, Jammu Kashmir was an integral part of India. Earlier, it was not. Earlier, it was not. They have their own flag. Jammu Kashmir was having its own flag. Now everything is abolished. That party, that Jammu Kashmir is also the integral part of India. Right. So it says its ideology was one country, one culture, one nation, and became the modern, progressive, and strong on the basis of Indian culture and tradition. And it always went Indian culture and tradition. It always denied the foreign culture, foreign influence. It always says that foreign influence should not be there in Indian culture. Indian culture is much, much, much more superior than the Western culture, Western civilization. So it is said that in India, India is one for everyone. Its culture and tradition. The party called for reunion of India and Pakistan in Akhand Bharat. They said Pakistan is a part of India and it should be forcefully, merged with India. India should do everything for the merger of Pakistan in India. That we call Akhand Bharat. The party was in formal forefront of agitation to replace English with Hindi as official language of India. It warned that official language of India should be Hindi, not English. Right. Then and also opposed the granting of concession to the religious and cultural minorities. It is always said that all type of religious concession to the and compensation to the religious minorities should be should be stopped and सब किसी को भी कंसेशन नहीं मिलना चाहिए if they belong to other classes or other weak classes or other parties, religious factions. It described that Hindi should be its main language and opposed to granting of the concession to the religious and cultural minorities. The Party of India was developing. The party was consistent advocate of India developing nuclear weapons. they कहते थे इंडिया को न्यूक्लियर वेपन डेवलप कर लेना चाहिए, right? Especially after China carried out its atomic test in 1964 में, earlier in India was far ahead in economy if we compare to China. But from 1960 onwards, China was galloping towards the progress. So in 1964, China became nuclear power. So Bharatiya Janata Sangh also wants that India should be a nuclear power. Okay. So in 1950, Janata Sangh remained on the margins of the electoral policies and was able to secure only 3 Lok Sabha seats in 1952 elections and 4 seats in 1957 general election and Lok Sabha. In the early years, its support came mainly from the urban areas in Hindi-speaking states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh. So these states, they supported Bharatiya Janata Sangh. Earlier it has, I told you earlier also, the Bharatiya Janata Party now it is, in the previous election, they secured only 3 seats in Bengal. Now they had more than 72 seats. They have got sympathizers out in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, and Uttar Pradesh. The party leaders included Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. He's the icon of Bharatiya Janata Sangh. He is the icon of Bharatiya Janata Sangh. श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी ने राष्ट्रीय आरएसएस चलाया था और भारतीय जनसंघ को चलाया था. दीनदयाल उपाध्याय, ब्रजराज मधोक. The Bharatiya Janata Party traces its roots to Bharatiya Janata Sangh. इसलिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी जो थी, it is a new party. The main party was Bharatiya Janata Sangh. So here I come to an end of this part, right? And I hope I was clear to you. Just have a revision for a few seconds. If there is difficulty, you can talk to me. Bye.